Before we get started, the credits didn't get put in the order of service on the music that Marva is going to be playing. So for the gathering music, she's going to be playing On a Clear Day by Burton Lane. During the offertory, she will be playing When You're Smiling by Joe Goodwin, Mark Fisher, and Larry Shea. And then the postlude is from Cabaret, and music by John Kander. Okay, Marva?
Well, I'm going to welcome you to church today. I am not a board member, but I do say welcome to you all. The Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart is a welcoming community, encouraging religious freedom, nurturing individual spiritual and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world. If you would like to learn more about this fellowship, please look at our website at uufe.org and join us after the service for our coffee hour. For the listening enjoyment of all, we ask that you at this time please turn off all cell phones. Also, if you need hearing support, please ask for help at the sound desk. Thank you. So I have some announcements about our fellowship life. Remember to join us next Saturday at 3 p.m. here at the church. We're going to have a holiday party for the entire family. There will be food and games and all kinds of merriment. So please come. This is from Ken Claiborne. Don't forget, if you would like to take a $50 gift card from either Martin's, Aldi, or Kroger to shop for the UFE food pantry, please see Ken Claiborne. On a little bit of a sadder note, we have 2 people in our congregation who are kind of battling illness right now. Joan Claiborne is one, and I know we all send our thoughts and prayers for her. And Janelle is the other one. And Janelle just got out of the hospital last night. I believe that she still has a chest tube in. She's in a lot of pain. Pam and I were talking about the fact that we should be taking some food to them this week. So if you would like to make a meal and take it over there some night this week, we need 5 or 6 people to sign up, and please see Pam. And then on another note, next week is our Christmas pageant, and I am responsible for getting people signed up to be angels and ducks for some reason. And this is Reverend Dan's pageant. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you would be interested in just signing up and reading a few lines it won't be, it won't be that bad. So please see me after the service. Actually, I think that the children are going to be the animals. So hopefully the duck, the horse, the donkey, the whatever. Okay. We ring the gong 3 times, once for those who came before us and made a place for us. Once for those who are here now. And once for those who will come after us and build on the dream. Our chalice lighting this morning is by Maureen Killoran, probably. In these hard times, let us look first to the response of love. In the midst of challenge, may our chalice flame bear witness to the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. In the midst of uncertainty, may our chalice be a beacon of encouragement, that our values may guide our choices. Let us look first to the response of love. And thank you to Steve Kripe, who I'm pretty sure lit the candle that I forgot to light. We rely on one another. Will you repeat the covenant with me? Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. Okay, and the children are now dismissed to go to RE and make their costumes for next week. Yay. Well, it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Dan and Sharon Wiseman. who are our guest speakers this morning. Dan is actually an Elkhart native. He's a graduate of Elkhart High School. And when he lived here, he went to Trinity Methodist Church, but has been a UU since 1985. Once he saw the light, I guess. Yeah, exactly. And he's now an adjunct consultant for the UUA, and actually, I didn't remember this, but he did a board retreat here with us several years ago. So anyway, we're pleased to have him back. And his lovely wife, Sharon, is from Pittsburgh. They've been married for 46 years and met when Dan was teaching a course at IU. She is a librarian, very close to my heart, all of our hearts, I guess. And they retired to Bloomington 10 years ago. They're what you call bloomerangs, apparently, which means you come back there after you spent some time there. And their church in Bloomington has 550 people. If you can imagine, I can't imagine that. You must have several services to fit them all in.
We're doing just one at the moment, and it's very crowded.
I bet. That's very crowded. Their new minister is Susan Gray, who was the former president of the UUA. So very impressive. And they have 2 cats, 2 Persian cats, who are absolutely adorable, and maybe you'll get to see the pictures if you go to the coffee hour. So we welcome them to the pulpit today.
I'm just going to say a few remarks. It really is good to be back here. I grew up in Oslo Township. Our family home was Simonson Lake. Some of you probably know where that is. And this time of year is growing up in a Methodist church with a name like Wiseman. So we had to guess who had to be the Wiseman, so I had to dress up in the with all the costumes. I have an older brother, Larry, and I have a younger sister, Nancy, who now knows by Nancy Lerner. Some of you may know her. My father was Harold Wiseman, a well-known person in the community, president of St. Joe Valley Bank, and anyhow, member of the Optimist Club for 48 years. A man with a lot of loyalty and a wicked sense of humor. And so, how did we come on this humor thing? I think I came upon it very gradually, but it became a matter of life and death for me in the year of 2000. Actually, about this time of year, would have been 24 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 neck cancer. The first 2 doctors said I only had a 50% chance of being alive in 3 years. So I had some critical decisions to make. I had to find a treatment provider. We were living in the suburbs of Chicago, and the first 2 doctors were not very encouraging, but I kept asking the right questions. We wound up at the University of Chicago. Then I had to decide what kind of patient was I going to be. I said, well, I'm not going to go the traditional route. So one of the things we were sitting in an Applebee's restaurant, and I said, Sharon, here's what we're going to do before I go into the hospital, because I had 6 weeks of outpatient and then about 3 months of inpatient, a week in the hospital, a week at home, that kind of stuff. So I said, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to give myself a humor party. We called it SOS, Surviving on Silliness. So that's what we did. We had a local wellness center that just opened up. They gave us the key to the building. Is that not trust? We had a bunch of Unitarians invading their property. So we invited about 50 people, and we told stories. We wore silly hats. by that time I had lost all my hair, so everybody had to wear hats and wigs. And we had the best time. We created a little wish list of things that they would wish for me for my treatment. But then when I got there, I said, you know what? I'm going to make a statement. So what I did was they hooked me up to an IV. I decided, you know what? I want this to be a walking sort of testament to who I am. So I decorated it with plastic ivy that a friend gave me. I attached a moose on it that I stepped on there, and then I wore rabbit ears. And I decided not to wear a gown. I did have clothes on, thank you. And so I felt like it was something from a psycho ward. You know, and they said, well, this is one that certainly got away from us. So every day I would go down to my radiation. I had twice a day radiation treatments, 48 treatments, and 24-hour chemo. But I survived, you know. And at that time I was working for United Airlines. Well, guess what happened in 2001? I just got back to work, and then 2001 happened, and my job and my department went away in October of 2001. So fortunately, Sharon and I were doing library. She had a library consulting business, so I joined the business. There's something humbling about getting a paycheck from your wife. It forces you to be good whether you like it or not. I mean, so I credit with humor keeping me alive. I knew we had one sort of remarkable incident in the middle of my treatment. After about 3 weeks in, the doctor came in, was giving me a little update, and all of a sudden Sharon just broke out in tears, and immediately thought, I said, you know what this is? This is chemo-sabi. I get the chemo, she gets the sabis. So they knew, and my doctor said, we're going to take a picture of this. I've got a couple of pictures of me, if any of you are interested, of me with the moose. And my doctor said, this is an unknown reaction to chemotherapy that we've never recently discovered. So Sharon and I had been doing a version of this workshop. We did a 2-hour version of this this summer for the MUSA program, which is the Midwest UU Summer Camp, which this year actually was held at our church in Bloomington. We have the facilities to handle 300 crazed Unitarians going around. It was pretty wild, even for us. But yeah, we're really blessed in having Reverend Susan. We've gone through some ups and downs in our congregation, but now it's just amazing having the right person and the right energy. We don't have enough space in our sanctuary now, so we'll have to go back to 2 services. We've had a parking lot crew. Our congregation, if any of you have been to, we have any IU grads here? We are right across from the football stadium. So we share the parking lot with RVs and that kind of stuff.
That's our fundraiser.
Yeah, that's our fundraiser. Yeah, actually, yeah. We make them pay. And then this year the parking lot's full too because of the success of IU. So anyhow, so that's a little bit of the opening. So one of the things, every morning at Trinity we sang Holy, Holy, Holy. So it's in my brain. So this is kind of a reprieve, getting a UU version of this. Allows me to reclaim it. It's the hymn tune is Nicene. So why don't you play it through once?
It's number 26.
Number 26 in your hymnal. It works on the back. Now, do you understand or?
I'm not going to sing it tonight. How many UUs does it take to change a light bulb?
No, we're not doing that.
Oh, we're not doing that. Oh, we have the responsive reading. Sorry. We did say, Sherry and I talked, this is a live event, and so there's lots of interesting things. Okay, responsive reading.
We're going to read the first sentence, and then you folks follow with the second one.
Here, would you like to do that?
Okay. You might be a UU if you know at least 5 different ways to say Happy Holidays. You might be a UU if you refer to construction paper as paper of color. Yes. If you find yourself rewriting a church survey rather than taking it, you might be a UU. If you believe the holy books are the Torah, the Quran, the Bible, and Robert's Rules of Order. Sound familiar? And incidentally, Sharon, we've borrowed this from many sources. It's actually amazing. I have a list of them. I'll give a few of them at the end. But yeah, okay. Now we're going to do. I guess you have an offering. And I have a reading.
No, go ahead.
I need to shuffle my papers.
Oh, he needs to shuffle his papers. This cash offering will be shared with Church Community Services, and Dan has some things to say.
This is about money. If you can't buy a home, if you can buy a house but not buy a home, money can buy a bed but not sleep. It can buy a clock but not time. It can buy a book but not knowledge. It can buy a position but not respect. It can buy medicine but not health. It can buy blood but not life. It can buy sex but not love. You see, money isn't everything, and often is the cause of pain and suffering. We tell you this because the church is your friend, and as friends we want to take away your pain and suffering. So send us all your money, and we will suffer for you. Cash only, please.
As I was saying earlier, evidently too early, how many UUs does it take to change a light bulb? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. 1, none. We accept the light bulb as it is. 2, none. We appoint a committee to raise funds to pay the electric bill. 3, none. UUs think the light bulb should change by itself. 3, 1 to change the bulb, the other to make sure the power doesn't go to her head. None. UUs aren't afraid of the dark. 9, 3 to form the committee for change, 3 to form the committee against change, 2 to abstain, and 1 secretary to record the meetings of both groups. It's about 5 or 6, isn't it? Whatever is a quorum for the church board meeting. Plus, well, a couple members of the Building and Grounds Committee to actually get the ladder and the bulb and do it. And of course, the chair and vice chair of the committee to supervise. Oh, they can't come on Saturday? Well, how about Sunday just before the service? Oh, the choir's rehearsing. Oh, God. No, I'm not praying. It's just an expression. What do you mean I use too many careless expressions? If I gave the kind of wacky pulpit editorials you do, no, I am not appointing myself censor of the liturgy. Liturgy? What's a liturgy? A few more here. Let's see here. Yeah, there's yours.
How many members does it take? 12. At least 5 must be women, 1 ecologist, 1 musician, 1 youth, 2 elderly, 2 gay or lesbian, 1 Christian, 1 disabled, 1 Cubs fan, 1 Sox fan, 1 left-handed person, 1 atheist, 1 who hates committee, and 1 Buddhist. Now also we have to affirm our light bulb, our inner light bulb. This light bulb is natural, a part of the universe, and evolved over many years by small steps. There must be no discrimination against dark bulbs in any form, and means must be found for all dark bulbs to take their place along light bulbs on the basis of equality. And 3, we affirm the right of all bulbs to screw into the sockets of their choice, regardless of the bulb's illumination preference. And 4th, we seek for each light bulb the fullest opportunity develops itself to its electric potential. So there you go.
So, what is healthy humor? One thing is about finding ways, funny things in the moment, being present to the insane, the ridiculous, the absurd, and the bliss of our realities. 2, crazy and creative ways to look at life. Example, secretary, doctor, there's an invisible man in the waiting room. Doctor, tell him I can't see him. 3, going for the jocular and not the jugular. Now, some of you might be familiar with Anguished English by Richard Lederer. These were some items that were found in actual church bulletins.
This would never happen.
Not this, it would never happen here. Today's sermon, how much can a man drink? Followed by a full choir. Potluck summer, prayer and medication to follow. Don't let worry kill you off, the church can help. Announcing a replacement for the minister's sermon with an update on his condition. God is good, Dr. Hargraves is better. Remember in prayer the many who are sick of our church and community. Next Sunday, Mrs. Wilson will be the soloist for the morning service. The pastor will then speak on It's a Terrible Experience. The Ladies Literacy Society will meet Wednesday morning. Mrs. Clark will sing Put Me in My Little Bed, accompanied by the pastor. Thursday is the monthly meeting of Little Mothers. All seeking to become Little Mothers should meet with a pastor in his study. This is hard to get. We're not making this up. The pastor will preach his final sermon, after which the choir will sing, Break Forth into Joy. For those of you who have children and don't know it, we have a nursery downstairs. The ladies of the church have cast off clothing of all kinds. They can be seen in the church basement on Friday afternoon. I have another one here. There's just a couple more. They're just precious. The pastor will preach his farewell message, after which the choir will sing Break Forth into Joy. And I'm sure that's not true here.
So one of the things that I always made a lifelong thing is that never trust a person without a sense of humor. Think about the people you like. Do they have a sense of humor? Can they laugh at themselves? Can they laugh at their foibles? We don't laugh at others, we laugh with others, and we laugh about ourselves. So one of the things I sometimes talk about humor as a spiritual practice, like anything else. You know, it takes work, it takes effort. Some examples of spiritual practice can be meditation, prayer, walk in the woods with insecticide, thinking healthy thoughts like, maybe this is the year that the Cubs, and I hope the new minister is going to be great. Exercise, reading good books and trashy novels, eating right, watching I Love Lucy, and you can all think of something that brings a little joy to your stuff. Like music has always been something for me. One of my favorite hymns is "This Little Light of Mine," and you've got a very good pianist. We do. You probably have many pianists. I have a series of sort of random thoughts. It said, a child on seeing the flaming chalice for the first time. Mommy, why do Unitarian Universalists build fires in their bird bath? A UU family moves into the neighborhood. Their little girl finds a new playmate. They're happily getting to know each other. One day the playmate says, "We're Episcopalians. What are you?" The child thinks for a moment and says, "I'm not sure, but I think we're the League of Women Voters." Why don't the UUs have church during the summer? God trusts them. Here's a one. Why can't UUs sing very well in choirs? Because they're always reading ahead to see if they agree with the next verse. We can all relate to that a bit. The children in the UU Sunday school were drawing pictures. The teacher asked, "What are you drawing a picture of?" "I'm drawing a picture of God," was the reply. "But nobody knows what God looks like," objected the teacher. "They will," said the child, "in a minute." I had an actual experience when I was at Trinity. We had a rather forgetful minister, and he was administering a baptism one Sunday. And he looks into the, I forget what's it called, the baptistry or something, the font. And he looks in there, and there's no water. So he panics, but he goes ahead and he fakes it. And so the parents afterwards said, "Pastor, is it really okay because there wasn't any water in there?" He said, "We'll call it a dry cleaning." True life, true story. Unitarian Universalist prayers begin with, often, "Dear God, if there is a God, please save my soul, if I have a soul, or to whom it may concern." Thomas Starr King is credited with describing the difference between Universalists and Unitarians. Some of you may have heard this before. Universalists believe that God is too good to damn men or women. Unitarians believe that man is too good to be damned. True stuff. Let's see. A visitor to a Universalist church, Unitarian Universalist church, sat through the sermon with growing incredulity at the heretical ideas being spouted. After the sermon, the visitor asked, "So how did you like it?" He said, "Well, I can't believe half the things that minister said," sputtered the visitor in outrage. He said, "Oh, good, you'll fit right in." Got to be one of the toughest jobs, right? Here we go. What do you get when you cross a UU with a Jehovah's Witness? Someone knocks on your door for no apparent reason. After a woman began attending the Unitarian Church congregation in Summit, New Jersey, she found herself in a restaurant after church. It was a small place with tables close together, so she could not help overhearing the conversation at the table behind her. Two people were discussing their dissatisfaction with some aspect of their church. Suddenly one of them asked, "What do Unitarians believe in?" Without a pause, the other said, "Recycling." In my family, I'm known as the member who questions authority, dislikes the status quo. You get the picture. Recently, I told my Episcopalian mother that I'd be interested in Buddhism. She wearily replied and said, "Oh, Anne, you could just be a Unitarian Universalist." On my last flight, the attendants gave us instructions on what to do if the plane developed engine trouble. We were told how to use the oxygen mask that would open and fall as instructed on how to use our headsets. If the plane is about to crash, you can dial up an appropriate message on the selector to your right. Catholics will hear a recording of the Hail Mary. Protestants will hear the 23rd Psalms. Jews can hear the Kaddish, and the Unitarians will be treated to a roundtable discussion on flight safety.
Odd but true.
A Unitarian Universalist died, and to his surprise, discovered that there was indeed an afterlife. The angel in charge of things told him, "Because you are an unbeliever and a doubter and a skeptic, you will be sent to hell for all eternity," which in your case consists of a place where no one will disagree with you ever again. So now what do we have? Oh, now we have this is something that I found on the internet, and it's a version of a piece from I think Pirates of Penzance. It's called "I Am a Modern Unitarian," and I guess they're going to show the words on the screen.
I am the very model of a modern Unitarian, far broader than a Catholic, Hindu, Jew, or Presbyterian. I know the world's religions and can trace their roots historical, from Moses up to Channing, all in order categorical. I'm very well acquainted too with theories theological. On existential questions I am always wholly logical. About most any problem I am teeming with a lot of views. I'm full of fine ideas that should fill our church's empty pews. I'm full of fine ideas that should fill our church's empty pews. Full of fine ideas that should fill our church's empty pews. I quote from Freud and Jung and all the experts psychological. I'm anti-nuke, I don't pollute, I'm chastely ecological. In short, in matters spiritual, ethical, material, I am the very model of today's religious liberal. I am the very model of today's religious liberal. I use the latest language. God is never Father or the Lord, but ground of being, source of life, or almost any other word. I never pray, I meditate, I'm leery about worshiping. I serve on 10 committees, none of which accomplish anything. I give to worthy causes and I drive a gas-conserving car. I have good UU principles, although I'm not sure what they are. I'm open to opinions of profound or broad variety, unless they're too conservative or smack of righteous piety. Unless they're too conservative or smack of righteous piety. Unless they're too conservative or smack of righteous piety. I formulate agendas and discuss them with the best of them, but don't ask me to implement, I leave that to the rest of them. I'm sometimes vegetarian, agrarian, contrarian. I am the very model of the modern Unitarian. I'm sometimes vegetarian, agrarian, contrarian. I am the very model of a modern Unitarian.
You have as well, and that's that laughter is the shortest distance between two people. It really is a way to have a lot of kinship with others. When we were first married, Dan knew that I was, what was I going to say? A librarian, but he didn't know that I didn't cook. Not really. I mean, I had a couple things I could make. And so after we were married about a month, he goes, when are we going to get some of those gourmet meals? And I said, gourmet meals? And he said, all these cookbooks. I said, oh, honey, I'm a librarian. I said, I collect books. If you notice, all of those books are in my living room, and they're clean. They haven't been used. So he claimed that that was false advertising, but the relationship's held. Another funny thing, Dan is part of a very musical family. And
then I want to welcome my sister in the back.
and her significant, hi Nancy, hi Bob.
Nancy and Bob.
Yeah, hello there. And so after that, we went to a church service together, and it was pretty early in the relationship, and he leaned over after the first hymn and he said, you're right, you can't sing. He said, you know, most people can. My mother claims everybody can, but I don't think you can. You know, so I think the two things I was most worried about today was singing into the mic or falling off the stool and ending up in your lovely courtyard back there. So we've had some funny things through the years. Another funny experience we had gone to North Methodist Church in Indianapolis, very large church on 38th and Meridian, beautiful stained glass windows. And Dan would ask me about the service, and I just couldn't answer some of the questions. And so he was convinced that I had a hearing problem. So he sent me to an audiologist friend of his, and it was, the office was in his home, and you looked out on the most gorgeous woodland scene, not unlike what you have. And the guy finally said, take these headphones off. And he said, you don't have anything wrong with your hearing. He said, what it is that when you have something visual competing, that's where your energy goes to. And I'm an art history major from college, and I love the visual. So when we would go to this Methodist church in Indianapolis, I was enthralled by the stained glass window. So I heard very little that went on. And he said to Dan, your wife's hearing is fine. He said, but she tunes out. He said, I had and that was in the days when they did the testing and they could tune it up really high. And he said, she didn't even flinch. He said, she's out there looking at squirrels and bunnies and she doesn't care. So we've had some funny situations like that in our life.
We had one additional story. When I finally recovered from my cancer and I was back home, I decided I wanted to go out to a Bennigan's restaurant. I think Bennigan's has kind of hit the road, Joe. So we were in the restaurant, and I had lost my voice. I could barely croak out things, which means for a long time I had to whisper in her ear whenever I wanted something. And she would say, well, I think this is what Dan wants. But anyhow, we were in the restaurant, and all of a sudden I said, you know what? I want to drive again. And then Sharon, in her loud voice, said, honey, you're going to have to get off drugs first. So I thought, oh my gosh. We knew this was going to be a long, hard thing. And when I guess my first day back home, we had a bunch of friends gathered, and they gave me a graduation certificate. Because I had gone to the University of Chicago Hospital. I got my certificate of doctoring. So that was as good as it got. So I guess we're going to now sing one more hymn. Should you choose to. If not, you want to sing your own hymn, that's fine too. Does it give?
Dan, I was wondering how you were going to read that .002 font on that words to that song. So I copied mine with large print so I can see. So.
Wow. The joys and the blessings of reading glasses.
Let's stand for "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple" and stay standing for the benediction, and then we can sit for cabaret. Number 16.
Gift to
We extinguish this flame. You can read along with me if you would like to. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And our closing today is called Bring Happiness by Barbara Cheatham. And now we take our leave. Before we gather here again, may each of us bring happiness into another's life. May we each be surprised by the gifts that surround us. May each of us be enlivened by constant curiosity, and may we remain together in spirit till the hour we meet again.